Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head over to Germany once again, and we're continuing on with this kind of mini series of German beer reviews that I've been doing for you. So when you hear the term Bamberg Rauchbier, many of you will think of the Schlenkerla obviously, but there is another brewery in Bamberg who produce these wonderful Rauchbiers, and of course this is Brauerei Spezial, and today we're going to have a little look at their Lagerbier Rauchbier. And I've had this one when I've been in Bamberg visiting my good friend Daniel up at the Spezial, and this is a really beautiful beer, so I'm glad that I finally got around to reviewing it for you on the channel. And you can only find this one in the local area of Bamberg, so it's quite a rare beer for anyone to actually review on YouTube, so hopefully you guys will enjoy my review of this one. But anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll take you through a very brief history of the brewery. It will only be 2 or 3 minutes long, but if you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. The brewery website's in the video description for you below, along with a link to my other reviews that I'll do from Spezial in the future. And please also like my Facebook page and add me as a friend on Untappd. You'll find those links in the video description for you below. But anyway, as I told you, this brewery is from the little town of Bamberg, which is a really kind of wonderful place in Germany. It's about an hour to the northwest of Nuremberg, and it's a really quite historical place. There's a lot of old churches and nice monasteries and things for you to have a look at, and of course it's home to 8 or 9 kind of world-class breweries as well. And this Franconia region in the north of Bavaria is very famous for that. There's about 300 breweries there, and I believe that region of Germany has the highest density of breweries per head of the population in the world. So if you love beer, definitely go and check out Franconia. But Bamberg itself is a really beautiful historic town, went largely untouched during the Second World War, so quite unique in that regard in terms of Germany, of course. So definitely do go and give it a visit if you find yourself in Bavaria. But anyway, Brauerei Spezial was founded in Bamberg in 1536 by Leonhard Grosskopf, and he came from a very well-known Bamberg brewing family, but he was also trained as a Büttner, and this is someone who produces casks, and many people attribute the brewery's kind of continued success, if you like, to this technical knowledge at an early point in the brewery's history. Of course, this brewery are very well known for the Spezial, where they stored a lot of their beer, so they think that the early success of this brewery was down to the fact that they knew how to condition and store their beer, and this really kind of good technical knowledge that they had. But the name Spezial is associated with another owner of the brewery, and this is Nicholas Delchner, and he said, there's a quote on this, Spezial genannt ein Brauer und auch Büttner gewesen ist. And of course in Franconia you've got the Franconian dialect, and I can't translate it literally for you, but this is a reference to the fact that the company was special because it had the prowess in brewing and also in the casking or kegging and conditioning of the beer. But Nicholas ran the brewery from 1631 until his death in 1664, and this brewery has been owned by the Merz family since 1898, and the current owner is Christian Merz, who is also the brewmaster as well. But the brewery have their famous Spezial Falsenkeller up on the Stephansberg Hill, which was where I first encountered these beers actually. But this was acquired by the brewery in 1830 by then brewmaster Georg Ott, and it was used initially to kind of cool the freshly prepared beer, and this was simply for the fact that at this time you didn't have the artificial refrigeration that we have today. But the Keller also featured an on-site Eislangen, which was used to produce ice to put in the chamber with the beer, and the land above was actually used as agricultural land. But the Keller is now the popular Spezial, which is very popular for drinking beer among the Bamberg locals in the summer, and you have this beautiful garden and really nice views over Bamberg, so if you do find yourself there, definitely go and have a visit to the Spezial. But the regular Brauhaus is in Oberkönigstrasse in the Bamberg Altstadt, and this building dates from about 1450, and it's well known for its kind of half wooden facade, really quite typical German looking building this, but it's been renovated and rebuilt several times, and it actually has an inscription of 1742, so this is when they think that the current Brauhaus building took the form that it does have today. And I think this is actually where they brew the beer as well. But the brewery has an output of 6,000 hectolitres of beer per year, and has its own malt house where they prepare the traditional Bamberg Rauch malts. And to do this, the malt is dried for 24 hours over an open beechwood fire to give the barley malt that kind of traditional smoky kind of meaty flavour, if you like. And the barley is all sourced from local Upper Franconian sources, and all the hops are grown from organic Bavarian farmers. And the brewery actually have their own wells that they use as their water source too, so you're getting a truly kind of Franconian or Bamberg beer with these guys. So really quite cool in that regard that they source their ingredients from very locally, if you like. But that's the case with a lot of German breweries, in fact. But just to list the other beers that you can get from Brauerei Spezial, of course you get this guy, the Lagerbier, the Märzen and the Weizen. I believe these are the 3 regular beers, and in their seasonal range they also have the Ungespundes and the Bockbier. I think the Bockbier is the winter one and the Ungespundes is the one that is out for the spring and the summer. So very, very nice beers, as I say. If you find yourself in Bamberg in the summer, go and check out the Spezikeller. Otherwise you can go to Obere Königstrasse and try their beers at any point in the year. But I would recommend going in the summer and enjoying Bamberg in its full glory, if you like. But anyway, let's get on to the tasting of this beer itself. So I'll just bring up the camera and let you have a little look at the artwork on this one before we open it up. As you can see, it has this kind of traditional German style label on it, but you can see on the top there is the brewery symbol there. The light's just being a bit of a pain in this video. I can see it there. Just let it re-equalise. But as you can see, it says Christian Merz on the bottle of the symbol here, and it's very nicely presented. I do like this older style Brauerei Spezial thing here, and of course all the beers from there are brewed in accordance with the Reinheitsgebot, the Bavarian purity law of 1516, which was later extended to all of Germany. But this one is a 4.6% Lagerbier, Rauchbier, if you like. There, of course, you do get various different Rauchbiers, all with different malt bases, so this one should be a very nice one for us to try. So without further ado, let's get this guy open and we'll get on with the tasting. There, of course, is your Spezial bottle cap. So let's get this guy open and get on with the tasting. Very excited to try this beer again for you because I know it's beautiful. As you can see, a nice smoky opening there. Bit of carbonation rushing to the top, but you can really smell the sweet Rauch malts of this beer as you pour it out. A little bit of sediment coming out of this actually, and that's just because I've had it in the fridge for the last 2 days and it's been cellared for I think a couple of 3 or 4 months, this beer actually. But you will only find this one within about a 15-mile radius of Bamberg. It's a very, very local beer, this, so I'm not sure how many other people on YouTube have reviewed this one for you, but it is a beautiful beer, so I feel very privileged to actually be able to try it for you. And I have to give a shout out to my good friend Daniel, who got me into the Rauch beers when I went to visit him in Bamberg, so a shout out to him and his lovely wife Johanna. But as you can see, this beer is poured, it's actually a kind of clear, bright orangey amber colour, but there's a good bit of sediment just floating around in it, and there's some big bubbles of carbonation sticking towards the side of the glass. But it's got a creamy, it's about a finger of a frothy white head there, and it's just kind of laying down there. A bit bigger bubbles actually, not so frothy, maybe a little bit bumpy, but that's going to fade away and just be a very thin foamy layer on top of this beer. But it looks very nice. It is a little bit transparent, and you can just see my fingers back of it there. I'll just bring up the light and let you see the colour of this beer properly. You can see it's a nice kind of bright orangey amber colour there, but it looks very, very nice, and a good bit of sediment just floating around in it, some nice big bubbles, and it smells really good as well. So let's have a look at that aroma properly. So you can smell these kind of typical aromas that you would get with the Bamberg Rauch malts. You've got a nice kind of sweet meaty characteristic in there, bit of the darker sort of ashy or smoky character too, but there's a big sweet kind of German rye bread malt in there. There's a little bit of a kind of woody or nutty aroma to it as well, but I think the most prominent component is the sweet meaty characteristic and the big bready notes. You can pick up a little bit of caramel, but I think really quite bready and nice meaty aroma there. They're quite simple in the aroma, these beers, not too complex unless you go for the kind of bocky, the sort of the Schlenkerla Urbock or the Spezial Bockbier. They don't tend to be all that complex in the aromas, the ones like the Lagerbier and the Märzen beers, but the Bock beers, the Weizen beers, they tend to be a little bit more complex because of all the things in the malt base. But this one is quite nice. It's a nice rye bready malt base you're getting on this, a bit of a kind of sweet caramelly or biscuity note in there as well, but some nice meaty smoky character, and a little bit of a woody or nutty aroma in there too. You can smell a bit of the beachy woody character, which is obviously how they make the malt, as I told you. But let's get stuck into this beer. So this is the Lagerbier from the Spezial Rauchbier range from Brauerei Spezial in Bamberg. Prost! Yeah, really, really nice beer, this guy. Yeah, so it feels, because this is a lager beer, in terms of the body, it is a little bit lighter than the sorts of the Märzen the kind of Märzen beers or the Bock beers or something like that. It is a bit lighter and a bit more kind of sessionable, if that makes sense. So yeah, you've got that typical nice sweety, smoky meat characteristic that you're getting out of this one. That's the typical element you expect from a Rauchbier, and this one really does hit the spot. But it is a good bit lighter than some of the other Rauchbiers that you'll come across from Bamberg, which is quite nice. So yeah, you get this kind of underlying German rye bread flavour that just blankets the middle of your tongue on there, and on top of that you're getting a bit down the middle of the tongue, you're getting a nice sweet, slightly caramelly, biscuity, cereally flavour down this one. It just goes right down the middle of your tongue and it's quite nice. But there's also a kind of infused woody or nutty flavour on this one, but there's a good big meaty sweet character to this one from the smoky malts in the beer. It just blends together really well. What's quite interesting about this one is that the smoke just kind of builds during the flavour, and you've got that nice sweet caramelly biscuit flavour down the middle of your tongue. It's usually the smoke kind of piles on top of that in some of the other Rauchbiers, but you just notice that nice sweet element to the flavour in this one. It's really just an interesting little quirk to the beer. But yeah, you can really pick up in this one, because the malt base is a little bit lighter, you can pick up a little bit more of the sweet caramelly biscuity elements, like I say, and there's also more of that woody and nutty flavour coming out. There's just a kind of light hint of smoke in this one, but it blends together really well. As I say, you've got that nice blanket across the middle of your palate of a kind of German rye bread flavour in there. It works really well actually. I really like this beer. Around the edges of your palate, you're getting the kind of typical German noble hop flavours, and you've got at the very back corners of the palate, you're getting a bit of an earthy characteristic about the beer. And as you move around to more towards the front of your tongue, there's an interesting kind of smooth, grassy character to this beer. And in the aftertaste, you can feel those smoky characters kind of infusing a bit more with the kind of cereally, biscuity malts that come out on the middle of your palate. It's really interesting this, because it's a very different feel to the Schlenkerla Rauch beers, and this is why it's interesting to go and review this beer for you, because it's the same style but just so different in the feel. So yeah, this one is just a really quite lighter and quite more sessionable Rauch beer. This, if you want a nice sessionable beer instead of a huge kind of one that you can only really drink one of, then if you want a more sessionable Rauch beer, definitely go and give this guy a chance, because it really is a nice easy drinking beer. This, in terms of the mouthfeel of this one, I would say it's probably mid to light bodied. As I said, a lot lighter than the other Rauch beers that you're going to come across. It's quite crisp in its carbonation actually, and that helps it be a bit more drinkable than some of the others. But it's got a nice big malty characteristic, as you would expect. As I said, the smoke in this one is a lot lighter than the other Rauch beers, and you get a little bit more of the woody flavours and the kind of caramelly and biscuity flavour down the middle of your palate. There's a little bit of hoppy dryness in this one. It's a kind of grassy hoppy dryness, but it's quite sweet at the same time. So overall, this is a really nice German Rauch beer, very different from the other ones that you'll come across in different countries. So I would recommend that you give it a go if you do find yourself in Bamberg. Really not sure how easy it is to find this one out with that kind of 15-20 mile radius of the city itself, because it is a very rare beer, like I said. So do go to Germany, check out Bamberg and check out Spezial beers. They're very, very nice beers, and I definitely will be going back there and picking up the other ones to review for you in the near future. But do go and check them out. A nice interesting variation on the Rauch beer style from the home of Rauch beers, and this is really where my love of beer started. So very proud that I finally got to review this beer for you. But as always, please let me know in the comments section below your own thoughts on this beer if you do happen to have tried it before. Hopefully I'll hear from some of you guys in Bamberg and hear your thoughts on the difference between this one and some of the other Rauch beers there as well. I do have another Rauch beer that's from another city around Bamberg, so you'll see that review coming up quite soon, I'm sure. But as I say, I hope you've enjoyed this beer review. Let me know your own thoughts on it. I will be reviewing more in this German mini-series for you, so do please subscribe to the channel and you will get those videos too. As always, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Like the Facebook page, add me as a friend on Untappd. I will continue with this German beer review series. I hope you're enjoying it, but until the next one, Prost.